Hey everybody, Dr. Sean O'Meara here with another video on how to optimize yourself. I'm a health and performance optimized physician. I specialize in taking humans and biologically optimizing them. I'm a physician, MD, researcher, and I am passionate about improving human beings, not treating disease. 99.999% of the physicians around the world and healthcare providers just treat disease. But who's out there actually optimizing them? That's what I live and breathe. So stay tuned in this video. I'm going to cover the amazing changes that have happened to me, which is why I'm here and I keep talking about it. If it hadn't happened to me, I'd still be a ridiculous emergency medicine physician treating disease. But instead, I am here trying to help you optimize yourself, optimize your body, optimize your life. So we'll get into some of the amazing changes that happened to me. We'll give you I'm going to tell you what you got to do that nobody else is telling you that you got to do to optimize. Why aren't they telling you that? Because they don't know how to optimize. Because I've gone through this, it was my experience, and now I get other client patients who work with me do the same thing. I've gained these insights, I want to share them with you. I'm going to give you the simple strategies, the key strategies that you got to do to optimize yourself. And believe me, it's not going to be getting your cholesterol under control. It's going to be stuff that really works, that you're going to benefit from and experience. I'm going to get into the kind of diet that you should be eating, how you should be exercising, and basically the important aspects to your lifestyle to actually improve you. I'm going to show you visually, okay? I can't just tell you, and you can't just read about in the study, in some kind of scientific study, you've got to see it and process it for it to motivate you. I, as a physician, know it's not numbers, even numbers in a study. It is engaging your senses. Seeing is believing, tasting is believing, hearing, touching, feeling, all of that is what you got to do to be instructed. For 4 million years, we didn't have studies in math and science and things like that. We just saw who performed well, and we learned from them and we emulated them. We also knew if we followed the losers who didn't perform well, we would get worse, okay? If you're not performing well, you lost at life, you died. You didn't bring home, you weren't productive. You didn't bring home the meat and the productivity that you needed to be able to survive. So we're going to get into strategies that allow you to excel and outperform others. And then we'll get into dramatic changes from exercise, why you got to exercise in a certain way that almost nobody is talking about. Stay tuned in this video throughout the whole thing so you can hear that. I'm going to show you what does bad look like inside, what does good look like inside, and what are the associated changes, what happened to be involved in that. Then I'm going to give you my simple definition of health, how I define health, and then I'm going to give you my basic formula, how to optimize your health. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start out my changes in just 3 years, okay? Going here basically from a low carbohydrate diet to a zero carbohydrate diet. Dramatic changes. So my sarcopenia, which is this belly sticking out, if you've got a belly sticking out, the dad bod, it's not probably so much from fat, it's the influence of fat, but not the mechanical influence of fat. It's that fat causing your muscles to relax. So with your muscle relaxation of belly will be relaxation of muscles outward. The next warning sign you're going to have is you will pass gas when you pee, because your muscles in your anatomical anal canal cannot control and hold in gas. So when you're peeing, guys, pay attention. When you go in the football stadium, it's usually older guys and they're unhealthy, okay? So that's relaxation of muscle. You do want relaxation. You want tight, functional muscles that perform well with good posture. We'll get into that. Other changes happen. Got hairier arms, and look at the dramatic change in my vasculature. So blood flow, blood flow, blood flow. We'll get into why that happened and key strategies for doing that. So appearance is incredibly important. We're going to get into appearance, how you look, and how you perform. If you simply follow people that look good and perform well, you would move ahead in your life. And that applies to physicians, healthcare providers that give you medical advice. If they don't look good and they're not performing well, they cannot optimize you. So that's by definition a problem from the get-go. So what is different about Sean O'Mara? What have I noticed? Well, I have figured out that you've got to do things that are hard. And I was talking to some of my clients, some of my most motivated clients. And one of my most motivated clients is as a retired airline pilot who retired, and while he was still flying for one of the biggest carriers in the world, was the highest performing pilot in the whole airline industry. That high performer came up with this insight, and basically it came down to, if you really want to optimize yourself, optimize your health, you got to be tough. You got to do tough things. He's a tough guy, and that's why he ascended to be the highest performing pilot in his airline. So what are those tough things do? Well, they create something biologically as an explanation. They create heat and cold shock proteins. You can Google these things. If I start talking too much about that, you're going to click off this video. Google it yourself. You got to get fascinated with these things. Heat shock proteins, cold shock proteins. Another term for those, also known as chaperone proteins. And basically, the activities that cause those also cause autophagy. And autophagy and these chaperone proteins favor the improvement in health, the optimization of health, the reversal of disease, the production of healthy tissue. Doctors don't talk about this, but it's in the science, it's in the studies. You need to find out about those protein molecules and autophagy and get fascinated with it, fall in love with it, and look for ways to get in your life. I'm going to tell you how in this video. All right, so basically it comes down to stress hormesis. You have to be resilient. You have to be tough. If you really want to optimize your health, you must be tough. And so what happened for 4 million years is the tough men, the tough women got to stay and contribute to the gene pool. They basically got to live. And the ones that weren't so tough, they became usually prey for others. They were taken out by other animals. They had more accidents. They just did not have a good outcome. And if they managed to live, they didn't have as good of a quality of life as the ones that were resilient. So that terminology, from an anthropological standpoint, is called selection pressure. It was the force in nature which ensured Homo sapiens improved and outperformed all other species on the planet. So we responded to, we could figure out how to get better. We wanted to get better. We wanted to improve. Today, it's absent from our species. It's no longer part of our nature to survive. Everybody gets to live about 78 years, 79, 80 years or so, depending on which country you live in. But that selection pressure is no longer tied to our existence, to our survival. And so selection pressure, I say, has been replaced by selection pleasure. So no longer resilient. We no longer are tough. We're soft. We like marshmallows. We want life easy, comfort. You cannot operate that way if you want to live optimally. If you want to make it till you're 80 years old and walk around and you can't enjoy your life, you can't get up and out of a chair without help eventually, you need help because you can't control your own feces and urine, i.e. you become incontinent and you have to start wearing diapers, then keep on selecting your pleasure. But if you want to stand tall, look good, outperform your peers, then you must pay attention to this video and do the strategies I'm telling you that you got to do. All right, so let's get into a little bit of those specifics now about being tough. What are those things that you got to do to optimize yourself? You have to do MIE. I used to say HIT, high intensity training. No longer. It's max intensity training. Life has for 4 million years been about being the best you can be. You didn't go out chasing an animal, kind of having fun. No, you chase that animal to catch it, to survive. An animal is chasing you, or frequently is another human being chasing you. You ran as fast as you could to get away, to survive. You ran to danger to protect your children, your offspring, your mate, to survive, so they could survive. So you got to do maximum intensity exercise. My favorite, if you follow me for a while, sprinting, because nothing gets you more short of breath. It requires more expenditure of effort and energy in a shorter period of time than sprinting. My favorite exercise. Sprint, sprint, sprint. We'll get into why that is so and the changes that happens. All right. Other thing is fighting. Fighting is a really tough thing. You never see a really dedicated professional fighter or just an awesome, really, really good fighter that's incredibly out of shape and poor health. It just optimizes you. The other thing is lifting weights, but you don't want to lift weights over a long period of time. You want to lift intensely in a very short period of time, a very intense manner. And then other practices to optimize yourself, improve yourself, a sauna, going into a hot environment to create those heat shock proteins, those chaperone proteins that actually reverse and help to improve the production of tissue. So get rid of disease and improve the level of tissue that you have. And then cold immersion therapy, such as going into a cold shower, a cold lake, cold ice tub, doing cold immersion. That is incredibly important to produce those cold shock proteins and for mitochondrial biogenesis and improvement in your health. Another practice is sunshine, just going outside into the sunshine. And then another one that not too many, well, a lot of people are talking about it, but very few people are on board with as much as I am, and that is extended fasting. So, but let me listen to you. Please listen to me. If you start doing extended fasting and you are not ready for this, you're going to crash and burn. You're going to hate it, and then you're going to miss out on one of the most important and one of my most favorite strategies for optimizing your health. So please, please, please do not do that. Slowly get into fasting. You would have fasted 50,000 years ago your whole life, starting your childhood, because sometimes mom and dad just couldn't bring home food. And so you had to, but by necessity, have to fast. It doesn't happen anymore. Today, everybody gets to feed. So now if you start doing your fasting too much, too soon, you're going to crash and burn. So slowly get into fasting. But when you do, you slowly increase it and get it to an extended fast. I fast about a minimum of, right now I'm fasting, I won't necessarily do this forever. In fact, I'll probably increase it and then come back down. But right now I'm fasting 3 days straight, 72 hours, 0 calorie, once a week. So I really embrace fasting, and for me, at least during this period of my life, is probably my most favorite strategy for optimizing my body and my health. So extended fasting. All right, let's get into some of these specifics about food. Okay, I told you how I eat. First of all, do not eat processed foods. You eat processed foods, you are just wrong. Too much get into exactly all the problems it does, but there are chemicals in it. It's super processed carbs. It just causes inflammation, jacks up your blood sugar, your insulin, destroys your microbiome, heads it in a direction where you're just feeding the weeds, okay? Think of your gastrointestinal tract as a safari, and you are just feeding the bad guys when you eat those processed foods. You're wiping out the good ones, you're selecting for bad ones, and then you wonder, why can't I stop eating, this crappy food? Why do I have achy joints? Why do I get sick all the time? Why do I have, chronic back pain? Why do I have to keep peeing at nighttime? Why do I have leaky urine? Why do I have these strange rashes? All these things. Because health really begins in your gut, and you're eating that bad food. That's your biggest cause right there. So you want no processed foods. Then I recommend a low carbohydrate diet, either a paleo diet, a keto diet, or a carnivore diet. Those in that particular order. Those are the diets that I saw in our study for the National Science Foundation, the best results in studying it. Now, what about vegans and vegetarians? I get that. I have vegans and vegetarians who follow me. I haven't seen the best results with those particular diets, and it's probably because you have to eat so frequently throughout the day. You're feeding yourself, and that may be a problem. You figure out dietary strategies where not eating so much and you're embracing fasting perhaps, with a vegan vegetarian diet while still getting your requisite caloric intake and your protein intake, then maybe those results will improve. But I haven't gotten enough subjects that were vegan and vegetarian stepping forward to actually get good insights into that. But I do hold out the proposition that you could be very healthy and on a vegan or a vegetarian diet. You do have to work at it a little bit more, and so just follow me and we'll see how that turns out. But I'm at least open to it. And if you're a vegan or vegetarian and you want to be studying, want to get an MRI, I'd love for you to step forward and get an MRI. There's a super healthy guy, Frank Madrano, who's vegan on the internet. He's definitely a high performer and he definitely looks good. I'd love to get him to get an MRI and see what he's got going on inside, because he's definitely a healthy guy. All right, so another strategy is to optimize. You have to optimize certain things. So optimize your microbiome. We talked about that. I have other videos in my YouTube channel about optimizing your microbiome. But you need to do that. You need to optimize your nitric oxide, which regulates your cardiovasculature. One of the key interesting things that I got, those my protruding veins and vasculature, is I have visible pulses. Now this camera does not have good enough resolution to it, but I have visible pulses in my arms. I have visible my abdomen pulses, from my aorta, my big aorta. When I lay down, poof, it pushes out. I only used to see that very young, healthy people in the ER. I used to worry first that they had an aortic aneurysm. No, they're just super healthy. And then as you get older, that aorta gets calcified and fatty deposition, small fat deposit starts depositing in the smooth muscle of your vasculature, including your aorta, and it doesn't function as well. But as you get rid of visceral fat, get rid of these fatty infiltrates, I'm going to show you about that, your vasculature gets healthy and you deliver blood much better. Wouldn't you like to see visible pulses throughout your body as evidence that you're actually getting better? That's what happened to me, and that's what happens to my clients when they start embracing these strategies, and it will happen to you if you do that. So, other thing you want to do is optimize oxytocin. Fall in love with oxytocin, fall in love with nitric oxide, read about it. Oxytocin they say it's the cuddle hormone or the love hormone. You get it from emotional bonding, touching, feeling, even thinking about people. Nature wants to reward you for being emotionally healthy and wants to make you more healthy, so you take care of the species and help to nourish and basically be an affectionate person. So that's important. Melatonin, important to sleep, optimizing your sleep and your rest. Mitochondria we discussed before, and then myokines get released, or messaging molecules get released when you do maximum intensity exercise. Oh, they get released a little bit in high intensity. Well, not a little bit. They get released in high intensity and even in modest intensity or low intensity, but not as much. So it's dose dependent. More effort, more myokines. So you really want to do that maximum intensity. And then sodium levels, key, really important. Everybody's talking about sodium these days. Well, how do you track your sodium level? Nobody says. Dr. Sean has an idea. This is what I do. When I go into my sauna and I sweat, I take some of my sweat and I taste it. Okay, tough guy, little girl, you're worried about tasting your sweat? Scroll on. You probably shouldn't follow me, okay? It's your sweat. You should track what's going on in your body. It's not like I'm asking you to taste your urine. It's your sweat, okay? So taste your sweat and see how sweaty it is. Really sweaty, time to drink water, non-chlorinated spring water. If it's really dilute and you can't taste any salinity, any salt in it, time to get some salt into your diet, okay? Add some salt to some spring water, 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt. If it's diluted and you can't taste any salt, you can take a couple teaspoons of salt and get it into your body and replace this incredibly important mineral, electrolyte, sodium, so that you have it to optimize. And a really key strategy is optimizing your muscle to your fat ratio, okay? It's all about more good stuff and less bad stuff. So we're going to get into that. We're going to look inside using the MRI to see what is bad and what is good. And I advocate doctors, if you're listening, PAs, nurse practitioners, look at your MRIs and CTs to optimize the patient, okay? not treat a certain disease, but what can I look at in there and tell that man, tell that woman, tell that boy, tell that girl how to get more healthy. And it starts by reading these films, these diagnostic studies, not to make money and chase CPT codes, but how can I tell this patient and make them understand that their body is their most important physical asset and what they got to do to optimize it. Follow this, get more of this, get less of that. You need to read this. We're not taught this in medical school. We're taught to chase disease, okay? So it's a whole new way of looking at diagnostic imagery, for the purposes of making people optimally healthy and not chasing some little tiny minutia of disease, sometimes it's big, to make money. You gotta change the focus to improve the patient. All right, so let's start right away with this particular image, okay? We're gonna blow up these scans. There's a series of 6 scans, okay? In this case here, all this white stuff in the middle is an important, very, very important substance, very dangerous, called visceral fat, okay? And see that the dark stuff on the side are muscles, okay? Dark stuff here are muscles. That's the 6-pack. This guy barely had a 6-pack hidden in all that fat. So all this white is visceral fat. It is bad. I don't have time to get into how bad it is, but it causes disease and associated with all kinds of forms of chronic disease that we saw all got better or went completely away when we tracked visceral fat and got rid of it, okay? You don't want to track and let it grow. Disease ain't going to go away with that. You want to eliminate it, okay? So this guy, that white streak in his muscle there, that is fatty deposition in the muscle. Fat goes into the muscle, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. In 2 weeks, he reduced, you can see there's less white there. He reduced that, and by the time 35 weeks come up, look how little white is in the center there. Now this guy has a nice oval shape, sort of looks like a swimmer on a college, swim team, and he's 68 years old when he formerly had this big beer belly sticking out. Big, big, big abdomen, 68 years old. The key to this point is, and I've shown this before, is he did not exercise 1 minute. He exercised restraint in what he ate, okay? That's how he exercised. He exercised restraint. He did not eat any processed foods. He ate meat and vegetables, and cutting out processed foods dramatically changed it from the inside out. So that's why I use MRIs to instruct people and show them how they can optimize by doing that. So that key strategy that you got to do is you got to eliminate those processed foods from your diet. All right, well, let's take a look at now form of exercise, okay? Again, abdominal MRIs, this is visceral fat, this is subacute fat, that's the belly button right there, muscles on the side, and this white stuff in here is visceral fat. So February 6, 2017, this guy came back. I was disappointed in the amount of visceral fat he had. He hadn't reduced it enough. And so key strategies I talk to people about, if they're not reducing visceral fat, are you stressed out? Got too much stress that will cause visceral fat or impede its elimination? Are you drinking alcohol? That will cause visceral fat and impedes elimination. Are you not sleeping? Are a poor sleeper and you're up at night, can't sleep, you got insomnia? That will cause visceral fat and also impede its elimination. The fourth one is cheating, eating processed foods, sugary foods, grains and breads and pastas and tortillas and things like that. Basically processed foods, things that not meat and vegetables in whole form. That doesn't cause visceral fat. And then the fifth one is chronic exercise, doing too much of something. So believe it or not, you can over-exercise. And sadly, my apologies to you distance runners, people that run a lot have a very hard time eliminating visceral fat. I don't know exactly why. It hasn't been studied well, but we saw this time and time again. So our strategy, the National Science Foundation, included stopping all distance running, no jogging, no distance running, and substituting in maximum intensity exercise like sprinting. So we would convert people from being distance runners to join the track team where they became sprinters. And look what happened in less than 2 months. All his visceral fat was eliminated. He grew muscle, got a 6-pack, got jacked, and the dude was 58 years old. So yeah, in less than 2 months, this is what sprinting did from the inside out. made them fantastic inside, made them fantastic outside. So you really want to invest in maximum intensity exercise. Sprinting is my favorite form of exercise. All right, well, let's look at a really bad MRI, okay? So this is a really bad MRI scan, one of the worst I've ever seen. This guy, all that white inside, that's really, really no bueno, really bad, okay? His muscles were really these thin little tiny things up here, six-pack, little tiny muscles here, and he's almost entirely visceral fat. This guy was a walking blob of inflammatory tissue causing inflammation. The guy had horrible health, okay? Actually, when he opened up this MRI scan, it was so intense, the stimulus. If I showed him, I don't know, if I gave him ounces of visceral fat, he'd have just stared, at those numbers. But I showed him inside, and because of that, he passed out. This guy passed out, hit the floor. So many clients get very upset, get angry when they see inside because they're looking at the enemy within. You don't get to look at the enemy if you do a DEXA scan or a bioimpedance scale or an ultrasound. You need to look at it either through a CT or MRI. I like MRI because it doesn't use radiation, so I recommend an MRI. And I do recommend a bioimpedance scale. I'm giving it to my clients now. After they get the MRI, I give them the bioimpedance scale to track improvement over a period of time. You're just not going to be very motivated. It's like cryptocurrency. If you get a crypto wallet and you get a bunch of numbers in a wallet, that doesn't mean anything. But if I give you a car and I give you a house and I give you a boat, now you're engaging your senses. Now you're feeling the excellence, okay? From that change that happened, okay? Numbers really don't motivate people as much as the senses do. So this is why I advocate you got to start using MRIs to track that. All right, so that was a really bad one. Let's take a look at bad and good together, okay? So let's blow this up a little bit to expand that. And this is a bad one now, filled with visceral fat. Now we scanned his legs, okay? So associated with visceral fat, in the same process that causes visceral fat deposition in the abdomen, causes these fatty infiltrates within the legs called myosteatosis. Okay, myosteatosis are fat deposition within the musculature. And it's going on in every MRI, every CT has this, and nobody's reading about it. Nobody's reading. Mr. Smith, you have had significant increase in both your visceral fat and your myosteatosis. Ain't gonna happen because they don't teach it in medical school. We don't teach things to get people better because the system makes money when you get worse. Okay? Sorry to be so dramatic about it, but it's that serious. It's that simple. This system is not going to turn around because it's the largest part of our economy. You need to pay attention to this. It's your life, it's your health, and it's how you're going to live the rest of your life. You got to turn this around and watch for this. Since they're not reading it, you got to read it. Get the scans and read it yourself. I'll do some more videos just dedicated on this, but I'm waking you up that you got to do this. Let's look at a really good scan and see that they don't have this fatty infiltrates in the muscle. This is the best abdomen I have ever seen in my professional career as a physician. So going into my almost 3 decades practicing medicine, and the enormous muscles, okay? This guy has optimized his muscle to fat. He's all mostly good and very little bad. If you lift weights, or if you run a company, or you want to be the best at what you want more good and less bad. And it applies to your body, inside your body. So get an MRI scan and see what's going on in your abdomen. His visceral fat was that little bit there, okay? Just that little tiny little bit there. Huge wall-to-wall muscles. His muscles, that's his core right there. This guy's core is below his, like most people, below the vertebral body. This guy core kisses his Adonis six-pack. I mean, he's really kissing right there. Just wall-to-wall muscles. So almost all good, no bad. And then look at his legs, okay? Cross sections through the thighs. This guy's filled with fatty infiltrates because same process causes this. And these fatty infiltrates, besides going into your skeletal muscle, as I mentioned before, go into your smooth muscle, your vasculature, arteries, veins, capillaries, and your endocrine system, your organs and your glands. Get this deposition including your heart, deposition of fat within those tissues. Nobody's talking about this. You need to find out about it and see what's going on. First thing you do is get that MRI scan. You get rid of this stuff and all the other ones, and your arteries open up, and you'll be like me and my clients that come to me with visible pulses, okay? So get rid of those fatty infiltrates so you have beautiful filet mignon-like legs. All right, so let's get into my definition. I told you I'd tell you what my definition of health is. And so my definition of health is right here, okay? Health equals two things: your appearance plus your performance. Health and performance optimized physician, I had to come up with an equation to define, or a definition at least, to define what health is. It's how you look and how you perform. But it's not just a casual glance at your body, it's an analysis of your body. So what I use to define appearance is KBI. So maybe you heard, if you work for a company, KPI, key performance indicators. KBI is key biological indicators. What do you look at to assess the biological state of an organism? KBI, something I came up with and I coined. So a few of them, I got over 100, but big ones, visceral fat. And I talk about it all the time. I'm the only doctor talking about it. If you're talking to a doctor or somebody else on the internet, ask them, what's your position on visceral fat? Start challenging these people. They're going silent on this and talking about cholesterol or just diet. You got to get rid of that visceral fat. And then muscle tone. So you want to have that muscle tone so your muscles, when you're 59 years of age, your gut, your muscles hold your intestines in. Literally, from that visceral fat and the inflammation and declining muscle performance, your muscles can't hold your guts anymore, and so your intestines are bulging out like some kind of sick bag of guts hanging out. God, it's amazing. People put up with this. Nobody's telling about it. Go to the doctor and they say, well, let's talk about your cholesterol. Never mind the fact that your body is falling apart. They're not paying attention. So muscle tone, and then vasculature. So visible pulses, telangiectasias, spider veins. Do you have this purpling, sick, diseased look to your vasculature going on in your skin that suggests that you are living improperly and you're having chronic disease? So you want to track for the onset of visible pulses. And then hair. Is your hair thinning? Receding hairline, hair falling out? Because there is a genetic linkage to this. If I lived really poor, I contribute to that genetic linkage going into my offspring and other generations. But it's also lifestyle. So previous video, I talked about the connection and association between fat around your heart and thinning of the hair. So you should pay attention to that, and visceral fat is associated with fat around the heart. So you'll accelerate your hair loss by having more visceral fat. You'll slow that hair loss if you get rid of your visceral fat. And then skin turgor. Okay, so skin turgor is how fast your skin, I don't know if I can show that here, but how fast your skin snaps back from when you hold it up like that. So pay attention to skin turgor. The older you get, the more chronic disease you have, the slower I can kind of fake slow skin turgor. Goes down really slow like that. So a couple things. No doctors ever told you about skin turgor, all right? You go out in the sunshine, at least with me, my skin turgor immediately improves within a couple minutes going outside from nitric oxide. Okay, so now it snaps back even faster. So what does that mean? Greater production of nitric oxide. Oh, nitric oxide is a really good thing. Read about it. I want more nitric oxide. But my doctor tells me not to go out in the sun, wear all this sunscreen, cover up. Yeah, you're not getting nitric oxide. 4 million years. We were incredibly healthy, did not have chronic disease. And now we got all these chronically ill doctors telling us, that we have to protect ourselves. Some people have to because they're in such an inflamed state. But if you get yourself healthy, then you become tolerant and even can benefit from the sunshine and get this skin turgor from enhanced nitric oxide production. So you go out in the sunshine, wash your skin, will snap back faster from being out in the sunshine. Another thing that will do that is the sauna. So check your skin turgor before you go in the sauna. It'll be kind of poor. Go into that sauna. When you leave that sauna, check it again. Snap back. You'll be like, Dr. Sean was right. This thing enhanced my nitric oxide production. It's just one of the reasons why you want to be doing a sauna. You want to do things that improve you. You gotta watch for things that are improving. Your doctor's not gonna tell you that, okay? I'm gonna tell you that. It's like I'm like learning a whole new language. All right, I'm gonna share with you so you pay attention and watch for that skin turgor. Sunshine. The other things that improve skin turgor is maximum intensity exercise. Sprinting improves skin turgor better than jogging. So it's kind of like how your skin turgor responds becomes a way of assessing what you should be doing, okay? So pay attention to skin turgor and hair thickening and visible pulses. Once you get visible pulses, my pulses get not the rate, I mean the magnitude, like, you know, like, so you know, artery kind of bulging like that, you know, when I go out in the sunshine, it really bulges, okay? So it's like really and strong enhanced amplitude and magnitude of those pulses just when I go out. I walk outside, I'm like, I'm so happy that I'm healthy and I have these visible pulses because I get this immediate feedback that almost nobody has. And I didn't get it till like the age of 56, you know? Here I'm a 56-year-old physician getting these visible pulses, never heard about it, not part of my training. But now you follow me and you're hearing about it. All right, so the last thing is performance, okay? So part of the equation is how you appear, how you perform. Performance is pretty easy. It's just how well you do things, okay? One of the most exciting things that I found as a researcher from the National Science Foundation is as you got rid of chronic disease, you improved not only the appearance of people and their health, but you improved how well they perform. Across the board, everything we measured got better. So as you become optimally healthy, you're just going to perform way better in everything you do. So whatever you do, if you can track it and measure it, if you improve your health, to optimize your health, you're going to improve that performance. So really key, very, very important strategies. Remember that formula, health equals appearance plus performance. And get excited that your performance, as you improve your health, your performance will improve. All right, this last slide, okay? Last slide. Giving you straight and simple what you got to do to optimize your health, okay? It's really very simple. You got to do the tough things, okay? Tough things we talked about, you know, the sauna, the sprinting, and things like that. Tough things plus eating healthy food, okay? Eating meat and fermented foods, fermented vegetables, and healthy water and nothing processed, okay? So tough guy things, tough girl things, eating healthy foods, not eating unhealthy foods, and drinking healthy, non-chlorinated, no chemical water. And the tough things are, again, sauna, cold immersion, showers, sprinting, maximum intensity exercise, fasting, including extended fasting, sunshine, and then when you hunt for meat, when you go to the grocery store, you're buying your meat. Our species for 4 million years didn't shoot the old cow, you know, that was dragging his feet, some kind of infection or something, or young baby. We went after the healthiest species, the healthiest member, the bull, or the healthiest cow or heifer in the herd, because they had the best, healthiest meat and the best coat with their microbiome. And so you want to hunt when you go into a grocery store. Look for the healthiest meat, 100% grass-fed, 100% grass-finished, organic, no chemicals, not processed. So apply your hunting skills today in a modern setting. All right, well, I think that's it. So thank you for your indulgence on this video. If you like this video, please give it a like, share comments and questions. I like that. I like engagement with my audience, my followers and my subscribers. Share this with somebody else. If you know somebody that you care about, you want them to become optimally healthy, I talk about the strategies for optimizing your health, not just get a little bit healthy, because my God, it's like saving money. The more money you save, the better off you are. Same thing with your health. The healthier you get, the better off you become. The better your quality of life, the better you can do things, perform things, and the better how you feel. Everything improves. So share this with other people. And again, Thank you very much for the opportunity to share this. And as always, make sure you put some comments down and like this button so I can help share this content with other people. All right, well, thank you very much. We'll see you again on another optimizing video. Dr. Sean out.